Okay, now I hate to be the one to point this out, but it's starting to feel more like I live in a socialist nation than a democratic one. And I don't want to get all political, but I mean, I'm not doing anything wrong. Technically, that railroad track there, 15 feet in either direction, is railroad property. I don't see any Pinkertons or railroad people around. And that's federal property, which, when I was a boy, we used to hunt on the railroad tracks for dove. And it was completely legal and okay. And now, since the Patriot Act and a couple other wonderful things that have happened in our country, I find myself in a situation where a man with a private business across the street on his private property, far away from the jurisdiction and the sanctity of federal property, calls the police on a man who set up camp and is sleeping. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't doing drugs. I wasn't out there drinking. I didn't even have a fire. I just had a tarp pulled over my bike and me, and a bedroll, and my dog. And he didn't even, excuse me, he didn't even know I had the dog or my firearms. Now, it seems to me that 6 police officers is a little excessive for one man sleeping in a tent whose only thing that he could be accused of is setting up a tent on the railroad tracks property. Now, as far as I know, what I'm doing here ain't that man's business. And it really ain't the police's business. Like I said, if I was committing a crime to have cops show up, yeah, that's understandable. But the fact of the matter is, I wasn't committing a crime, and I can only imagine what that man said I was doing out here. So, I mean, I've been asked to leave town. I'm complying, but a part of me feels a little bit screwed. I mean, I feel like I just got screwed. And, I only got about 2.5 hours sleep. And now I gotta pack it up and go back down the road. I wasn't even disturbing the peace. And to be honest with you, when I heard those guys earlier when I set up camp, they sounded very drunk. They were slurring their words. They were shit talking and being rowdy. And they were making comments about me. Not nice comments either. Who the fuck's that guy think he is? Fucking homeless trash. Just to name a few. Now, I haven't done anything wrong. In fact, my only crime is vagrancy, technically. But, I mean, even there, I'm not really a vagrant. I have a home that I'm going to. I didn't even have to do it this way. This is kind of an adventure I chose to do, like I've told you all before. And it's a good example of how a lot of people who are down on their luck and who are actually legitimately homeless are treated on a pretty much what's starting to seem like a daily basis. And I'm gonna tell you guys, I used to feel similar about some homeless folk, and I had buddies that were down on their luck, and I put them up, and I got to tell you, man, this is probably the hardest form of living there is. I could only imagine if I didn't have the skills I have, and being out here on the streets and stuck in a town, and having to do things like go through trash cans every day just to find food money. That's a rough life, and when you're down in this spot, it's really hard to get out of. And so that homeless guy you see on the corner with a sign that everybody wants to say, get a fucking job. Well, could you imagine how hard it is when your depression is so high that, you know, you have to deal with people looking at you like shit every day. You smell terrible. You know, it's a pain in the butt just to get a shower. And I'm going to tell you, it takes almost a complete day just to get anything done. And with the standards that we're needed to live up to just to be a part of society, you don't have time for that. You're trying to eat. You're trying to take care of your basic needs. And 90% of those basic needs don't get met. Your main one that you're meeting, if you can meet it, is feeding yourself. And I want you guys to think about it next time you see a guy on the corner and your first instinct is to be like, oh, fucking loser. He's a guy that's down on his luck. He's a guy that you don't know how he got there. It could have been his fault. You know, maybe there's some things in his life he would have done differently, but you don't know. You don't know. And you know what? I'm going to be the first one to say it. You are no one, just like I am no one, to judge anyone. That's up to our Maker. That's up to our Maker. And you who are judging, Jesus said, judge not lest ye be judged. For whatever judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged with the same meat. Which basically means, don't fucking judge that guy, because it could be you next. You never know when your company's going to get bought out and you're going to get laid off. And it could happen so fucking fast your head spins. And then what? Then you're down in the ditches. And then you're going to be the one with people looking at you funny. Having comments said like, oh, he smells like shit. Oh, look at that fucking loser. And we'll see how you feel about it when it's your day on the chopping block. Now, I hope that these experiences give you a different perception on life, because no matter what, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep my chin up. I may have my down times, but I keep going, and I will prevail. And I have a whole new profound respect for men that are out here on the streets every day. And I think one of the things I'll never do again is judge a man by his cover, or judge a book by its cover. Because you never know. That man could have been a rocket scientist. He could have been a scholar. He could have taught your kids. He could have owned a business and got beat out by a foreign company who's got rules they can follow that his company can't. He could have had hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and now he's on the streets. And in fact, I know a man just like that. Hell, I'm one of them. You know, I'm fortunate that I have some family, though it be in-laws, and a few family members left after the death of my mother that still are willing to be there for me. And without that, I'd be in a much more dire situation. I'm going to end with a prayer, a Lord's Prayer, because it's a God bless that I'm walking away tonight, and I got my firearms still, and I got my dog, and I'm not sitting in jail. Alright, those of you that know it, join in it with me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and glory of heaven, forever and ever. Amen. Alright, everybody. It's 3:30 in the morning, and this is Eugene Holst signing out on his road to redemption.